Okay, so today we're going to dive into one of Bob Dylan's most celebrated and, frankly, one of his strangest songs, Blind Willie McTell. It's this vast, haunting map of American history, and right at its heart is a puzzle that we're going to try and unpack together. And here it is. This is the central mystery. The song that so many people now consider an absolute masterpiece was famously, deliberately left off the album it was recorded for. So how in the world does an outtake, a song literally left on the cutting room floor, end up being seen as one of an artist's most profound statements? Well, the story of Blind Willie McTell is really the story of the canonical outtake. That's the term for a song that gets this incredible second life. It moves from the edges of an artist's work right into its very center, often years after it was even recorded. It's a journey from the vault straight to the canon. And you can see that journey right here on this timeline. Just look at this. The song's recorded way back in April 1983 for the album Infidels. But when the album comes out later that year, it's gone. The public doesn't officially hear it for 8 years until it pops up on a bootleg collection in 1991. Then, decades later, in 2021, it gets put into a whole new context on a new box set. This really slow burn release is a huge part of why the song feels so monumental today. So let's get into the song itself. This isn't just a simple story. It's a huge American panorama. Dylan isn't just describing a place, he's painting a moral landscape, a kind of geography where every river and every road feels like it's just soaked in history and judgment. I mean, the song confronts the history of slavery head-on with lines like this. But notice how he says it. It's not presented as some distant historical event. It's an immediate, active image. The violence isn't over. It's a ghost that just keeps haunting the present. And this really gets at a key idea, what some call the afterlife of slavery. The song is basically saying that the brutality of the plantation system didn't just stop with abolition. Its effects linger, you know? They create this devastated social world, a field of echoes where that history is still audible, still felt. And Dylan layers this history with this incredibly powerful theological language. He's using biblical words not to give comfort, but to measure the sheer scale of the moral catastrophe. The landscape itself, from the American South all the way to Jerusalem, it becomes a stage for condemnation and ruin. Now let's see how this builds. We've talked about what the song says, but just as important is how it says it. And that brings us to the man in the title and this idea of just handing over authority to a deeper, more profound truth. This is the whole concept of the blues witness. The song is suggesting that some truths about history, about suffering, are so deep that academic language or official stories just can't touch them. But music, and specifically the blues can carry that weight. And this right here is the crucial point. The song sets up this encounter between two different kinds of authority. On one hand, you have Dylan, the songwriter. He lays out this huge, broken landscape and almost seems to admit that his own voice has limits. And then he defers to McTell, the witness, whose music represents a truth more profound than Dylan himself can put into words. It's a real act of artistic humility. And by naming a real person, the great Piedmont bluesman Blind Willie McTell, Dylan isn't just paying tribute. It feels like an ethical choice. He's plugging his modern song into this long, deep tradition and basically saying this music, this voice, this is the ultimate standard for telling the truth in America. Okay, but we have to talk about the sound, because the power of this song isn't just in the lyrics. The performance and the arrangement are just as critical, and they're all built on this powerful idea, the ethics of understatement. I mean, just look at the musicians on this track. You've got Dylan on piano and vocals, the one and only Mark Knopfler on guitar, and the legendary rhythm section of Sly and Robbie. This is a group that could create some serious power, but what they make together is something spacious, controlled, and deeply measured. And this is how they do it. Dylan's vocal is haunted, sure, but it's also cautious. He's not performing suffering, he's witnessing it. The piano feels like a slow, grave funeral march. And Knopfler's guitar, it's not about flashy solos. It's just adding these incredible textures and colors, weaving around the words instead of overpowering them. Every single choice serves the song's gravity. So the whole point is this. The musical restraint is an ethical decision. A bigger, more dramatic arrangement might have turned this immense history of suffering into a spectacle. Instead, this quiet, spacious sound, it gives the listener room to think, and to feel the weight of the words. It honors the subject by refusing to blow it up. So let's bring this all together and think about why this song from 1983 feels so urgent right now. It's more than just a great song, it's a powerful lesson in how we remember our own history. The song's own journey is a perfect example of what we call archive culture. We don't just listen to the final albums anymore, right? We listen through box sets, we dig up outtakes and alternate versions. This whole process reshapes the canon, allowing a once-forgotten song like McTell to be reheard as this central defining statement. The archive didn't just preserve the song, it elevated it. And that is the ultimate lesson here. The song itself is about a history that refuses to stay in the past, and its own story shows us that our understanding of art and of history is never finished. The archive is always open. What we overlook today might just become the key to our understanding tomorrow. So I'll leave you with this question. After exploring this landscape of moral ruin, its deference to the blues, and its powerful restraint, we kind of have to ask, what kind of truth can a song like this carry? What dimension of our past can it preserve that a history book, with all its facts and figures, simply cannot?